this, period. We're talking about the pandemic experiences people have had, and I hope you will share the link. You will invite others to come and just chat about the experiences they've been having. I've got with me today a very special guest. This is Julian Romanetti, and we were classmates years and years ago. Welcome, Julian. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So, as I said, share the link, like, comment, invite others to, come and watch, come and share the experiences that you've been having over the past few weeks. For those who, joined in for the first time, we've spoken about various things as we've gone through, this experience it's unique to all of us, but we're all going through it together. And so for the last, which is this week, we're just going to recap some of the things we've talked about, some of the experiences we've had, and invite you to call to share in your experiences too. We've got a WhatsApp number that you can call in. They'll probably have it on the screen shortly, but I'll just let you know. It's +33 627 808675. And for that number, you need to add it as a contact in WhatsApp, and then you can just make a phone call via WhatsApp and we'll be able to chat with you. Apart from that, you can also say hello in the chat. Hi, Carrie, good to see you on. Say hello in the chat and we'll be able to connect with you. Carrie, where are you? I already know, but I'm just asking for the other viewers. And by the way, I've got to give a big shout out. Carrie's on, that's my sister. I've got my personal stylist that has been, there every day, every week helping out with that. Hi, Art and Allison, welcome. I see you on Facebook. And so thanks, Carrie. Carrie's in Regina. But again, as I said, giving her styling all the way from Regina to Edmonton. I appreciate that. And also Ken does the hair. So,
nice.
Welcome, Julian.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So, tell me now, Julian, I'll ask you questions like we usually ask for those who come on. What line of work are you in?
Well, I'm a clinical massage therapist.
Okay. Clinical, how's that different from just a massage therapist?
Well, I work mainly with physios and chiros.
Okay.
And I say clinical massage therapist because that was the name of the course that I did.
Okay.
It was advanced clinical massage therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the only 3,000-hour course that exists for that. Usually with massage therapy, it's a 2,200-hour requirement. Mm-hmm. But the college that I went to, it's the only 3,000-hour program.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more detailed and more clinically focused.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So why, we did, for those who don't know, we did, and make sure if you were in school with us and you're on the live, make sure to say hello. We'll give a shout out for you. So why the switch? We did computing and management studies 20 years ago. Why the switch to clinical massage therapist?
Well, I've always been one, as you know, who thinks outside of the box, right? Mm-hmm. And I've always loved any form of alternative form of healing or treatment. Mm-hmm. I've always loved it, and I've always taken very good care of myself. And it just so happened that a couple of years ago, I had my own business, and then what happened is that the business, the environment changed. Mm-hmm. So I had to make a switch, and I had to do something that was a little bit more steady. And with the fact that I had not been in the IT field for a long time, I didn't really want to go back into the IT field anyway, so I started to think about what I can do in the alternative medicine field. Okay. And my girlfriend at the time actually suffered from some back problems, some lower back problems, and we were looking into some massage, and that's when I found a school that does a 3,000-hour program, and I applied. Okay. And the rest is history. Right. It's just a wonderful program, and I love actually seeing the results, the immediate results.
Mm-hmm. People get the massage and they feel so much better. They can stand up straight. Definitely. All right. So shout out to Pame for joining online, Iris Matara and Leticia Tamuza. Did you know that name? Who? Leticia.
Why yes, Leticia? Leticia Senior?
Yes, Leticia Senior, who's senior no more. Tamusha.
Big up.
Hi, Leticia. Welcome to you. And on YouTube, we've got Erica. Greetings to you from Jamaica. Erica is one of she's my hairstylist in Jamaica, right? So
Real.
she's always on. Carrie, you're taking over my job. Yes, she do the styling. And Donette from Jamaica, that's my mom. Hi, mother. Welcome. Ensure again you like, join, invite others to watch, subscribe, and just let us know, share experiences. Today I'm talking with Julian Romanetti, a good friend of mine. We studied at University of Technology in Jamaica about 20 years ago, and then of all the places to, it's on old now, right?
Sure.
Kind of ages us.
Hold on.
2 decades ago, doesn't sound that, just two, right? And then we met up in Edmonton,
Yeah.
all the places, right?
Yeah,
Just kind of like
By
how
chance,
things are. Yeah. Just like, oh, you're in Edmonton? Yes, I'm in Edmonton too. Of all the places in Canada,
Yeah.
most of our friends are in warmer parts of the country.
No, we are the only mad people.
Alright, so Julia is talking about, she's a clinical massage therapist. Can ask him, what led him there. And he talked about the change, doing his own business, because he's a man, he wears many hats, as you'll probably find out as we talk. But the change in the economy caused him to have a shift in, direction as to what line of work he'd be in. And I just want to bring that back to what's happening now with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because with lots of folks, because of what's happening,
Yeah.
the world just kind of, has gotten uncertain. And, that's something people need to keep front and center of mind. Something like this has happened. What other alternatives, may you be looking at? Skills you may have had, sitting on for a while, you always liked, alternative medicine and stuff like that. So this is something that you go into naturally. So for persons who may have, even been questioning, is the field that I'm in gonna be the field that I'm gonna stay in with everything that's happened? Now maybe a good opportunity for you to look at other options that's there and, seize the opportunity as it becomes available.
Yeah. Well, I also have an interest in a junk removal business because the entrepreneurial spirit still flows through my veins, and so I do have an interest in a junk removal business, and that business has been on and off throughout the pandemic. But it's an interesting time. This whole pandemic has forced people to look into other things, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to see an example of a career or a business that will weather any storm, then look at those careers that stayed open
It's the time.
during the pandemic,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
even the ones that are in stage 1 implementation now.
Yeah, that's
right?
first and foremost. Out of the gate, they're the first ones out of the gate.
Exactly. I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm in stage 2.
Well, at least you're 2 and not 4, or 5. Letitia says, great to see you, and I hope all is well.
Love.
For sure. All right.
We need
Yes.
to have a reunion.
we need to. Come on, let's make sure you share this with those who are in, those who are on from Skit.
Yeah, man.
Give them a shout out.
Reunion. Bulldog forever.
Of all the places. Yeah. So, so asking which field you're in, and you mentioned you're in stage 2. So, what happened during the pandemic? Were you home? Were you working from home? How did things change for you?
Well, I mean, I couldn't work, obviously, just because my field is one that involves a lot of close contact, right? So I couldn't do anything during that time. But I used the time productively, I
Okay.
just dove into those things that I was kind of ignoring when I was working, right? So, one day, for example, I looked around my house and I love plants, right? So I live in a 2-bedroom apartment and I have about 25 plants in my apartment, and
Herbalist.
yeah, I love plants. so I looked around my apartment one day and I said, well, give thanks and praise that the supermarkets aren't closed. But if they were closed,
Yeah,
I can't eat any of these plants that are in my house, right? So I said, let me change out all of these plants to edible plants. So that started one project.
All right.
Right, so now I have all these different herbs in my home.
So, what are some of the things you?
No, well, I found that because of where the sun comes into my home, I found that a lot of the leafy vegetables don't really work very well in my home. So I had to, resort now to mostly herbs. So, your basil and your tarragon and, and parsley and that kind of stuff. I even grow some potatoes.
Wow. In the apartment.
In the apartment.
So no excuse if you're in an apartment, you still can make things work.
Yeah, right. And that was one thing. And of course, spending more time with my daughter. I have a daughter. She's going to be 4 this month.
Okay.
And during when we're working, we spend a lot of time. We think we spend a lot of time with our kids, but we really don't, right? You get up in the morning, you get them ready for school or wherever, and you have a little time with them in the morning, and then you ship them off to daycare or to school or wherever, and then you go about your business, and you come back in the evening and you have some dinner, and that's it.
Yeah.
But if you check it, you're only spending less than maybe 5 hours of quality time a day in a 24-hour period with your child. So during this time, I've really spent a lot of really good quality time with my little daughter, teaching her different things, how to ride a bicycle, and just beautiful stuff,
That's nice.
Yeah.
And lots of persons kind of talk about that with their priorities shifting because of what's happened.
Yeah.
And one of the main things is spending time with the family.
Yeah.
The main things that has come out of it. So I'm going to ask you now, so this is happening now because it's a pandemic season. Like, how will things change after it with regards to your priorities, spending time with your daughter or, different skills? Because I know as work starts again, it's going to start, picking up. What are some of the things that you suggest we could do to ensure we don't lose sight of, what we've learned during this time, things that are valuable to us?
Well, one of the things that I like to do and I believe in is creating systems, right? And teaching that to your children. So, like, for example, with my daughter, we have times for different things. So we'll have story time. We'll have a plant project time where we spend time doing whatever we need to do with the plants. We'll have cooking time. We'll have bike riding time or cleaning time even, So if you create these systems, then what will happen is that when work starts again, instead of, wondering what are you going to do with your child or your children, well, you just implement these systems and you have these systems and you say, okay, fine, now it's story time. Instead of doing story time at 10 o'clock in the morning, because we're not working, now we're going to do it a little bit later, right? And the good thing about doing these things is that the children learn structure and order as well, and they'll be better organized.
I was just going to say, it's one of the things you mentioned was structuring your time. And this is a good idea, for those who are listening who've got kids and you're wondering, how am I going to manage once things get back into the groove of things and stuff. A good suggestion that Julian had just mentioned was just having systems in place or having a structure in place so you're able to still spend that time with your kids. And they'll remind you if you forget.
They surely will. Because one thing with kids, right, is that it's when they see the consistency, then you're right. They are the ones who are going to remind you.
Yeah.
And if they start to remind you, it means that they have learned what a system is.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes. So
I'm doing little things like, for example, instead of for example, cooking one time for the whole week, like you cook all your dishes for the week and you put them in the fridge. No, don't do that. Cook every single day. Let it be a cooking time with your child or your children. Let them learn that as well.
Yeah.
Because not only are they you're bonding with them, but they're also learning how to do these different skills.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
And for those who talk about time, you can prepare. So pre-cut vegetables or your meat and season, so it's not gonna take as long a time. In the kitchen.
Yeah.
So essentially, Carrie and Erica online having a discussion. Yes, Rasta plant up the herbs.
Well, yes, it is legal here, but that's some kind of herbs we're talking about.
We leave those herbs for Jamaica. I listen to people who are saying, "Oh, your herbs." I'm like, I haven't done it in Jamaica, so I won't be doing it in Canada. So. All right, cool. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so
we're talking here today, so it's not as structured as the previous reason. I'm like, it's last week and.
With just a reason. Because you go back a long time,
yes.
Right? And I must say that when I saw you doing this storytelling and this thing, I was like, I want to know which part you going on right now, right? So I must ask you, what inspired you to do these series of podcasts? Would you call them a podcast? Or
Facebook Live events?
Facebook Live.
So this is kind of a little different from story. So storytelling, I was, saying that I found it was my gift, 8 months ago in October. And that's something I kind of struggled with, kind of ask, what's my gift, what's my calling, things like that. And, just I was listening to Steve Harvey, of all persons, and talking about your gift. He was doing a presentation at Sagicor in Jamaica, right? He had a motivational session they were having there. That was the first place I worked to by chance.
Wow.
So
Big up
Sagicor, yeah. So in listening there, I heard him talk about your gift makes room for you and what it is that you do naturally and things like that. And kind of thinking and pondering with it, and came, I'm a storyteller. I guess I'm a storyteller. Is that even a thing? That was my question, right? And when I said it to a few persons, they're like, yeah, we knew that. You didn't know? For me, it was like, okay, everyone else recognized it except me, right? So, and I also used to do poetry, kind of in the sense of an event would be happening, I'd be writing a poem on what's happening to give a vote of thanks or just talk about it. So kind of telling the story as it unfolds in the form of poetry too. So that's how I found that out. And then the producer for Guided TV here, I shared with him that I'm a storyteller. He's like, you have to come tell stories sometimes. I'm like, okay, that wasn't the plan still. But so I came on and did a few stories. And then when the pandemic happened, he said, so we need to, people need an avenue to talk. So, let's have a program where we'll have them come and talk. And didn't really sign up for that still. He's like, so can you do it? I'm like, yeah, I was born ready. It's the line my daddy uses. So I just kind of jumped in and that's...
Take the bull by the horn.
12 weeks later. Of course, I must say it's a new skill that I have learned. People are asking about new skills that you've learned. What new skills have you learned during the pandemic?
I've enhanced definitely my relationship with plants. I've enhanced that a lot. I've also, I wouldn't say any new skills. I've just been working on some things that I love to bike. So usually at this time of the year, I park my car and I bike everywhere. As long as
hold up point right there. As Julian is mentioning, new skill or enhanced skill for our viewers. Let us know or give us a call. What new skill have you learned, or what skill have been enhanced during this pandemic? Shout out, let us know.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Julian.
Yeah, so, as I said, usually this time of the year, weather permitting, of course, I will park my car and I will bike everywhere. I commute. My commuting now changes to my bicycle. Of course, obviously, if I have to do something with my daughter or I have to pick up groceries or something like that, then I drive, right? But it's wonderful because it's so nice experiencing the world at 15 kilometers an hour.
Versus 50.
It's a completely different experience, right? You see things that you don't normally see. You also meet some very interesting people as well. And I've done some long bike rides. The other day I did a 115-kilometer bike ride.
How long did that take?
It took me about I would say about 5 hours, 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, but then I stopped here and there.
Still a lot of riding.
And I got an inspiration. I'm gonna bike across Canada.
Awesome.
I'm serious. I'm not now though.
Okay.
You're working on it. Maybe the year after next, right? Because you have to prepare.
Yeah.
And get all the equipment and what have you. And I'm just gonna get out there and just do it.
Enjoy the outdoors.
Just enjoy I've always enjoyed the outdoors. I've always loved the outdoors.
Yeah.
And this is just another way to enjoy the outdoors, doing something called bikepacking, which is just like backpacking.
Backpacking, I don't think you're on a bike this time.
But you're on a bike, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take my time and acquire all the equipment, get my body ready for it, and I'm gonna do it.
And when you're done, you have to go to Jamaica and do a bikepacking across.
Across Jamaica.
It can be done much quicker than across Canada.
Because the bike ride I did the other day, right, is like riding from Kingston to say Duncan, right?
So I mean, you could cross it enough. You're probably ready for that one. It's a pre-step. Those are online. Let me know what new skill. Erica, Donette, Kerry, Letitia, we've got Pam, Iris, Wiki Waki. Welcome to you too. What new skill have you learned or have been enhanced since the pandemic? Shout out to us, let us know. Or again, give us a call at our number +33 627. I shouldn't give the number because I don't even have the phone here. So just shout out, just write down the screen. What new skill have you learned since this pandemic, or what skill have you, enhanced? For me, it's gonna be broadcasting, if this is what you call it.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a skill that I knew I had or thought of working on. But yeah, it's been good not so much talking to the screen, because I can talk a lot, but
Yeah.
having people to have that interaction, that piece
course.
of it, shared information. So just kind of putting those skills together.
Definitely.
That's what I enjoy more than anything else.
You know, another thing about this time as well is that it's the reconnection with friends. You know, people who I haven't spoken to or seen in a long time, and to hear all the interesting things that they're doing. You know, we have a classmate who recently wrote a book.
Tell me more.
Gary, where are you, man? Are you here? You know, I sent him the link. You know, you should be online.
Come on, Gary. If you're online, stand up.
But you know, Gary wrote this book. You know, Gary Thompson. You know, it's called Crackatown. Beautiful book. I mean, it's for those of you who grew up in Jamaica and went to school in Jamaica and ever read the book Spratt Morrison.
I didn't read
I didn't read that book,
No,
right?
but-
But anyway, it's a book. When you read that book, you know that book needs to be in schools, right? And I read that book, you know, 'cause you don't know, him called me up and he said, Julian, you know, I wrote this book, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I bought the book, of course, though we have to support each other.
Yeah, yeah.
I read the book and I was like, I was blown away, you know, because I never even knew that he had that ability. That's the first thing.
Again, right?
Right?
IT.
Exactly. You know?
Different.
And it's a wonderful book. So right now, you know, I'm working with him. I'm helping him to, you know, promote the book here in Canada, in North America, and you know, we are very close to getting it on Indigo.ca.
That's good.
Right, we've done that so far. We're going to be getting it into some bookstores as well. I know that just last week, you know, Gary had a meeting in Jamaica with somebody, a good friend of mine actually, as the beginning stages of seeing if we can possibly get it into schools as
Okay,
well.
that's awesome.
So it's happening. It's
So is it on Amazon if folks want to get
it
it?
is on Amazon. Crackatown,
So-
Preke, and then TOWN.
So
Beautiful book.
check that out
Check it
on
out.
Amazon. You know, buy a book, support, and I think he has a program on is it Nation
New Stock.
New Stock.
I think it's actually happening right now as we speak.
Maybe that's one.
Right? It's a book club,
Okay.
right? And this is the second month that he's doing it.
Okay.
He's actually doing The Audacity of Hope, written by Barack Obama. He's doing that book this month. Last month, of course, he started with his book, Crackatown. And I was actually on one of his programs as well,
Okay.
talking about the marketing efforts that we're doing here for that as well.
So is it a weekly event or monthly? Like
Yes,
how-
it's on a
weekly?
Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Sunday at 6 o'clock Jamaica time.
So for those of you who are wondering, we're gonna do when this is done? Options. Crackatown on New Stock.
New Stock, yeah.
Check it out at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Jamaica
6
time.
p.m. That's 5 p.m. our time. Just about the same time. It's perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Let me see those right here. So Donna says she have always planted, but my new skill is going to bed so early sometimes at 4 or 5 p.m.
Hey, well,
So mother, you're getting more rest. I mean,
That's
of
good.
course, you know, beauty sleep, you need it at all age. We've got Patricia Richards. Welcome, Patricia. Developing the skill of online instruction. Patricia, where in the world are you from?
she's in Edmonton.
She's in Edmonton.
Yeah, my girlfriend.
Oh, hello, Patricia. Good to have you. So the skill of online instruction, and that's something we spoke about in one of the weeks, and we'll just talk about, online learning is another piece of it for those who are still in the classroom, well, still at home, because that hasn't changed much. So, you know, talk about things with regards to that. So one of the things, and I'll just switch to it since, you know, Patricia mentioned that. So tips for online learning. So if you're not an instructor, but you are, you know, you're doing school online or you're working online, setting daily goals is one of the things we mentioned, because if you don't do that, things just kind of run away from you, right? So having your SMART goals, being motivated, beating that procrastination like some of us do, rewarding yourself when you make progress, also creating a dedicated study space.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard,
Yeah.
you know, your bedroom is here. If you go jump in the bed, then
Yeah.
work doesn't get done.
It's systems.
Yeah.
It boils back to systems.
Yep,
right?
same thing you mentioned. You know, having a structure in place. You know, here's where you study, here's where you take your breaks, so you can work towards that, right? Schedule a time, whether you're gonna study, put it in your calendar if you need to. Keep yourself accountable. It's one of the things we talk about.
Yeah.
And part of that too is telling other family or friends.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not one to keep yourself accountable, then if I say to my brother or to my sister, you know, I need to get this done by a certain time.
Right. So if you don't see me bike across Canada, you know how the thing said, right?
So we gotta keep Julian accountable. He's gonna bike across Canada. We gotta remind him. Come on, Julian, you're right. Riding across Canada. We're looking to see you. Yes, for sure. Actively taking notes, joining the discussion. You know, asking questions, not just being you're in the meeting, but you're just there sitting on the sidelines. And I'm guilty of that a lot. I talk about it even with doing stories online now, and telling people to, subscribe, like, share.
Yeah.
I'm forever watching and not commenting, right? I'm commenting in the room that I am, but I'm
Yeah.
not typing.
Right.
So now for me, it's getting people, come on, I need you to comment, or someone comments on WhatsApp, or they call you and talk to you, and
Yeah.
they're like, put it on YouTube so that people can see it too.
Exactly.
But having that conversation, that's very important. Doing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Most times we think we're multitaskers, and really, when you're stretched that thin, you don't always do things so great. And of course, taking your breaks.
Of course, very important.
That's a big part of it. So
Very
thanks for
important.
sharing that with us, Patricia. We've got Marian Young. New skill, learn drywall, installing floating floors. Go ahead, Marian.
Wow.
Good job, Marian. God's helping with that
You
too,
have to
right?
come and teach me that.
But yeah, it's good. I mean, you've got no bounds on what you can learn now that you're at home, or you've got more time with the family. So of course, these skills are going to be valuable for you to, use going forward. And then Kerry says, what's the name of the book? The name of the book is Preketown. Preketown.
Yeah, beautiful book. I'm going to say something quickly about it as well. It's a book that captures Jamaica's authentic vibe. Like, for example, the game of Stocky, for example. You understand? Games that, I'm talking pre-social media.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Outdoor.
Good old
Get up and
times,
do
you understand what I
something.
mean? But it also captures Jamaica in a modern way as well, right? But still holds on to those traditional roots. And it's just a wonderful book, man. Just get it.
I can imagine sharing it with your kids, right?
Yeah.
Even during this pandemic, I'm thinking of things that I've learned back home, and I'm thinking, this one of these, I wonder why the grass is green and why the wind is never seen. And those things are coming back to me of, things you learned in school, in elementary school or primary school, as we call it.
Yeah.
Those are the things kind of coming back to you, because you want to share those things with those around you, of the experiences that you had.
Yeah.
And I saw even a clip with Jenny doing Chinese skip and showing kids, how we used to do Chinese skip,
Yeah.
having that skipping rope and having fun outside of,
Of course.
the technology. The tools are good, but at least, you have the option that's there.
Yeah, because as much as we're reaching out to so many people via these mediums, there has to come a time when you have to put down those mediums and actually interact in reality. Because these mediums, they're all artificial forms of interaction.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and the more we can stay close to reality, the better it is for us.
All right. And I've got a few shout outs here. I don't know what happened. It says no video playing on my, but I'll still say that wave to Marine that's there, to Solo that's there, to Hope Daily. Hi, Hope. How are you doing? What new skill did you learn or did you enhance during the pandemic? Let us know.
What is that? I started the piano.
Oh, Merlin Brown started playing the
Oh, wow.
piano. That's good.
Oh wow,
That's an awesome.
This is actually the author of the book actually texted me now.
All right. Let me see what Kerry mentioned. Can you advise those working from home how to maintain a good posture?
Oh well, you have to come chat me.
He's a clinical massage therapist, so when things happen, you need to come. She's just asking, can you give some simple exercises that can help in flexing the muscles at the neck and the shoulders? She's in Regina, so when she comes, she'll.
I could, but
I mean,
charge for my services.
some of the things people, talk about taking breaks when you're sitting at the computer and you're not.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that happen to a lot of people that work around the computer, right? So you're sitting down like this.
AKA me.
Yeah, and what happens is that you move from this eventually to like this. So you're hugging the computer. One of the best things that you can do is actually just don't sit. Get a standing table, right? So that your body, so that what happens is that you're not leaning forward like this,
Okay.
right? You're always up straight. Put the computer screen in direct line with your eyes, so you're not always looking down or looking up like that, right? And that will help you to maintain good posture, right? Anything else? Make an appointment.
And that's a good one that you suggest, because I didn't even, you mentioned it, but what I did, because I'm at my kitchen counter for work, right? I'm on a stool, but then I put a box on and I put my laptop on it and I stand. So I said, I'm at work, I've got a sit stand station.
Yeah.
But just modifying, putting the box there, so
Yeah.
I'm standing sometimes and not sitting for the whole time. Because then your legs start hurting, like everything starts when you're.
And you know what? The body is all interconnected, right? If you have, I've seen people come into the clinic with issues with their ankle, and and it goes right up the chain, and eventually you can see issues in their shoulders, just because of the fact that the ankle is off. Because if the ankle goes off, it affects the knee, which affects the hips when it goes straight up the line. So everything is always interconnected. So for those of you who can't make an appointment to come and see me because you're too far, make sure you find a good clinical massage therapist who looks at your body as a complete entity, and not just, oh, I have a problem with the knee, and they focus on the knee.
Yeah.
Because usually a problem with the knee comes from the foot, or it comes from the hip, right? So you need to find somebody who understands how the body interconnects and how
Just
it
not
works together.
isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, Kerry, that's advice for you. You can send the funds to me and I'll pass it on. So, Lyndon mentioned I started playing the saxophone. Awesome.
Wow.
The neighbors have been polite. No complaints about the squeaking noises, yet good vibes.
Nice.
They're probably enjoying it just the same as much as you are, right? Listening to you grow and, improve.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's much better than last week or 2 weeks ago. And Kerry Scott, I met my neighbors.
Beautiful.
And that's something that we don't even do. That's true. I did meet my neighbor too. But yeah, and that's because of the pandemic. I was outside doing a story one day and saw her and said hello and stuff like that.
I mean, gone are the days when you move into a community and everybody come to your house with a pie welcoming you to the community or something.
Yeah.
Welcoming you to the community. Or gone are the days when we run out of sugar because we'll make baking and we'll go over to the neighbor and say, yo, make some sugar.
Yep. So I mean, that's a good, and I think things are also changing too with what's been happening of late, right? You're more, because you're seeing it, you're like, hi. It's like, I miss seeing people or I miss interacting with certain people. Meeting your neighbor is something people start doing more because you start valuing, as you say, people, and relationships. Because when all is said and done, that's what, we are connected. We are social beings. That's how we thrive and grow. And
Exactly.
you realize in a split second you've lost your ability to interact or have that social reaction. It's like you're going crazy just being at home and not being able to.
Well, this time has also been good for those people who are not comfortable in their own skin. This is a good time for you to actually get that comfortable in your own skin, and that's very, very important, because if you spend your life just being distracted all the time, then you never really know what's happening within you, and you are the most important person to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so important to know and understand yourself and know what you're going through. I mean, I was just on the phone a while ago with a virgin of mine, called me when I was on my way here.
Okay.
Said to me that, hey, Julian, I'm going to do a water fast. And I know you've done water fast before. Any tips?
Yeah.
And if you had talked to him before this pandemic,
Hell no.
no water fast.
Never did feel hungry.
So it's good, people are exploring different things and learning new things about themselves, and it's just a beautiful thing. I think this time has been a beautiful time, and I like to see the positive in things. There's always negative things happening around us, and a lot of times these things happen just because we need to know how to learn how to find the positive in everything.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. Otherwise, we'll always be walking around doom and gloom all the time, and nobody's going to want to be around you.
That's true.
You're just going to be not good.
We talk about the silver lining behind the dark cloud, finding that. And, in this experience, as I said, I've really asked persons to kind of search, what are things that you can learn? What are things that has been different? What are things that's been good about this time that you've, had time back to spend? You're not traveling to work.
Yeah.
Someone at work mentioned just not having the traffic, just some time to breathe in the morning and not having to commute, appreciating that time, that downtime, before work. And she didn't realize how kind of, revved up or stressed you get, with the traffic just to go to work.
Yeah.
But she's like, now she could notice and feel it in her body, the difference.
Yeah.
Just working from home and not having to get up, get ready to go hustle with the traffic in order to get to work.
Exactly.
Different things you get to appreciate. Let's see. Carlette mentioned, where is your office located?
Direct message for that.
All right, Carlet, direct message.
Yeah,
I know you, Carlet, so we'll connect
Yeah,
and
we'll
talk
connect.
more.
We'll definitely connect.
He's on
Facebook.
Facebook too, so Julian Romanetti, if you're on Facebook, you can connect with him on Facebook. Tell him I sent you, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Carrie said thanks for the advice that you gave with regards to standing versus sitting, you know, at the
problem.
computer for the whole time to help with your back and your shoulders. And
Yeah.
and also they talk about eye strain too, it's sitting at the computers, right? So for 20 seconds, looking away like 20 feet the distance for 20 seconds from the computer. So giving your eyes a break. So because like I felt it too, being at home, like my eyes, like I'm seeing things and
Yeah. Oh yeah. And listen, if you have to sit, for those of you who work in an office, and let's say, for example, you know, your employer is not going to invest in a standing table for you. If you have
because
to
it's expensive.
Sit, yeah, it is expensive.
Yeah.
But if you have to sit, you know, every half an hour,
Get up.
just get up, walk around, stretch out your body a little bit, and come back.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't roll the chair over to the other side and roll it back without
You know,
getting up.
Yeah. Or instead of get an ergonomic a chair that's good for your, like an ergonomic chair. Or if you can't get that, get a yoga ball.
Yeah.
Sit on the yoga ball.
Yeah. I got coworkers that use a yoga ball too.
It's
for sure.
amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I think I won't have balance, but it probably will teach me good posture.
Why you don't look too bad, you know? Yeah, go on, good.
Yeah. So Merlin mentioned what's the name and contact information. Again, Julian Romanetti is the name. He's on Facebook too, Merlin. Julian Romanetti, Romanetti.
Yeah, just
Okay.
reach out to me.
And he's in
Usually-
Edmonton, so you can connect with me too, and I can give you his details.
Yeah, it's better you
information.
just connect with Charlotte on that, because usually my Facebook is extremely private. The only people I have on my Facebook
Friends
is
of-
people that I actually know,
Friends, okay.
non-virtually, right?
Yeah. You really know.
I don't just randomly accept friend
Facebook
requests.
friends,
So
okay.
it's best to just contact Charlotte and then...
And I'll give you
we'll
his
set it up.
information for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Karen mentioned I'll make my appointment as soon as I can travel across provinces. So Kerry Scott mentions my neighborhood is still that way. They welcome you to the neighborhood. I'm just not neighborly. So with a pie. That's good. Come on, Kerry. And it's
Well,
time to get neighborly.
maybe what you should do is do something neighborly. Since you say you're not neighborly, that's what she says, right?
She's not neighborly. Yeah.
She's not neighborly.
Yeah.
Okay, my challenge to you: do something neighborly tomorrow. Just do something. Just go say hi to your neighbor.
Or ride when you're riding the bike with the
Yeah.
kids. The kids usually come out to go ride bikes and stuff.
You know what? You know what happens? A lot of people, tend to focus a lot on their perceived limitations. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm not like this, and whatever. Well, just change. Just do something
Yeah.
different.
Challenge yourself.
Just challenge yourself. Take
Yeah.
yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you grow, eh?
True.
Is to take yourself out of your comfort
True.
zone. It's just like if you work out. If you go to the pool and you swim 10 laps every single day, well, there's no challenge after a while.
Yeah. You're used to it.
You're used to it.
Yeah.
So one day when you've mastered doing 10, do 15. Yeah, you might hurt a little bit, but then you come and check me. Get you used to 15, and then we get you to 20, and then it's good, right?
Yeah. And that's how you can scale yourself and move up from, one
course.
to the next. So June, that's your challenge. Do something neighborly. Let me know how that goes. All right, pretty good. So we've talked about, strategies that people use. People are sharing, things that they've learned from the pandemic. I'm also going to ask another question. What's the first thing you're going to do once this pandemic is over? I've asked it before for some folks. Like, what is it that's on your mind that you want to do? And when this pandemic is over, that's something I'm going to do. It's something that it's probably you're being held back from doing, or you're doing a version of it. What's something for viewers online? What's something that you're going to do once this pandemic is over? Julian.
I don't know. I don't know, because honestly, I haven't really. My life has continued normally, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing I haven't been doing in this pandemic is working.
So something you're going to do is work.
Well, yeah, of course. I actually do enjoy my work, right? So that would be something that I look forward to getting back to. But apart from work, everything else is as normal.
Just keep going.
Just keep on going. Just keep on living life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to find a beach in Jamaica. That's my.
Well, yeah, that's I would say, yeah, I would agree with that.
That's my. I'm like, I just need to get out there and
Yeah.
get a break.
Yeah.
Just like I just want to be on a beach, and now I was saying to my boss a few weeks ago, when I see the sunshine, I'm like, I could be working from Jamaica.
Yeah.
and enjoy the stress the same. You know, it's a good thing with the pandemic. It kind of shows you options.
Yeah.
Because before you're like, you have to take vacation and you're gone for, 2 weeks or whatever. I could actually be there working for 2 weeks, enjoying
Exactly.
what's there.
Exactly.
A few weeks ago, Erica suggested that I get a inflatable pool, back of the yard, put it there. And then she said for salt water for the beach, I should add some salt.
Well, we're in Edmonton, where the other day it was very nice outside, nice and warm for Edmonton standards, 15 degrees.
Yeah.
Right?
Celsius.
Boy, Jamaica, that's cold.
That's true.
But here when you have, in the winter time, when you have single digit negatives, it's like,
yes, it's warm today.
Or worse if it's like 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, ready to get out the shorts and the t-shirts.
Yep. Shorts and t-shirt weather. It's
everything is relative,
to where you're at. See, Merlin mentioned a big family gathering is what she's gonna be doing right after the pandemic. Yeah, that's good. And people are gathering now in not as big groups.
Yeah.
And then a caution I want to give, because I think just 2 weeks ago when they opened it back up, they did a few groups and like 9 persons got infected with the virus because of that, that social interaction that's going on. So still be mindful and cautious of things and it's hard to see friends and not hug and chat and interact, and there's some things we have to work with, but still use the precaution, washing your hands, keeping distance as much as you possibly can. Doing what you can do from your part. Yeah. If you're having a little sniffle, know to step away and not possibly, if you're not sure what it is, step away and just make sure everyone is safe.
Yeah.
You want to do
it's interesting with this pandemic, right, and all the precautions that they come up with. In my opinion, these are things that should be the norm anyway. I mean, you should have good hygiene anyway, right? you should respect people's personal space anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we have to go as far as to wear masks or something like that, but I mean, we should be conscious of these basic courtesies. Really, it's what it is.
And you mentioned it's things that we should have been doing all along. I remember 2008 when I came here, there were lots of posters all over the bathrooms at school, and it was saying wash your hands. I'm like, why are all these posters? But there was the H1N1 had kind of ravaged Canada a little, and there were lots of posters talking about wash hands and how to wash hands, and I'm like, why would they have to tell people how to wash your hands?
No, because I tell you something. I've gone into bathrooms already and see people come in, you do them business, and just walk right out, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, that's not...
Don't even go there, that's not right, yeah. So this is reminding us what we need to be doing. I mean, the things that you teach kids, that they need to be washing their hands when they use the washroom, coughing in your sleeve, not coughing on people. Yeah. These are, as you mentioned, things that we should have already been doing.
Exactly.
But the pandemic is just a reminder that we still need to do those things to keep healthy,
of course.
Healthy body, but also in our interactions with people, we need to make sure that we are keeping clean and healthy.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Donna says she wants to go to church and then to the beach.
Amen.
Well, let's see how church goes with all the masks that we'll be wearing and everything like that. But I definitely miss that interaction. At church for us, it's lots of potlucks that we...
Yeah.
And interestingly, from January till February, I think we had like potlucks almost every week, and we were like, oh, this is like too much. We're gonna take a break when it comes to March. We're just gonna have one for the month. Mm-hmm. And then like we were shut down mid-March. Pastor's like, thank goodness we had so many potlucks, because now it's like, you miss that interaction, and sharing food and just having that time with people.
But I'd like to suggest that you could actually still do that now. I mean, why can't you have a social distancing picnic?
That's something that we were planning.
I mean, you can do it.
They've got the group, because we've talked about it in the park. 50 persons have the space and have that. So that is definitely something that we are working on.
As I said before, I do a lot of biking, right? Mm-hmm. And I will bike through River Valley and McKinnon Ravine and those places here in Edmonton. And it's almost as if the pandemic isn't happening, because you see people there, and there's nice benches and there's barbecues beside the benches. And people are there enjoying themselves, and they're maintaining distance. Yeah. There's no reason why we can't go outside and enjoy ourselves.
That's true. And I'm not a biker, but I walk. I walk a lot.
Yeah. Get the bike.
I'm afraid of the bike. I had some bike experiences. My brother is not on here to talk about it, or my aunt, but I've had some bike experiences.
Yes.
But I still go enjoy the outdoors and walk. I walk like usually on Saturdays. I just go for a walk. You know, it's a long day at Sabbath. I just go for an hour and a half or a 2 hour walk, and I just enjoy walking through the communities. You know, seeing the River Valley, 2 portions of it, and I just go crazy walking. But still enjoying the outdoors.
Of course.
Enjoying what's there, and for me, the nature is just like eye candy. Like I'm seeing the greenery, I'm seeing the skies, and it's just like, this is good.
Beautiful.
So you live in Edmonton, you get to appreciate.
Yeah, when the sun is shining, you better go enjoy it. Because it's not always going to be the case.
yeah, for sure. So Donnet mentions, okay, the beach. Kerry mentions beach. All right, beach on the mind. And go to Jamaica. Kerry Scott mentions she wants to go to Jamaica. You know, it's like you're longing for home.
Oh, yeah.
It's longing for home. Yeah, pretty good. So, Julian, something that you also mentioned that you also do is poetry.
Yes, I do spoken word.
Okay.
Performance poetry.
So is that here in Edmonton that you do that?
You know, I haven't really, honestly, taken that project to the place that it should be just yet.
Okay.
I have a good brethren of mine in Jamaica who's a producer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's always saying, you know, you should do this, and you know, I'm just not ready yet. You know, when I write, my stuff is timeless.
Okay.
You know, and I write about different issues and stuff like that, and I've been writing ever since, a long time. I can't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I love expressing my creativity, and you know, if there's one thing about this time, right? It's that it's a good time for people to actually tap into their creativity. Too many times, people don't really tap into what's going on inside themselves. They don't really know that. They don't really realize that they have this ability.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you know, with this program. You never knew that you had this ability.
Yeah.
But look at this now, you're doing it. Do you understand what I mean? True. So if we spend some time with ourselves to actually realize that we have certain abilities, and that will actually work out good, you know, instead of just distracting yourself with TV and Facebook and all these things. Not knocking them, but you know,
there's time for it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, as you mentioned that, you know, finding that creativity, that time, for me, with even because right before this, I was doing talking about people doing different challenges to kind of occupy themselves, and I said, you know, what can I do to support, to encourage people with the skill that I learned that I've had. So I said, okay, I'll do short stories, you know, and just call it stories for thought, like you'd have food for thought. And I'd shared some stories with a friend to say, okay, can they be like jokes? And he's like, some of them, because he's talking about the stories, you know, some people want stories that they can laugh about and relax, because mine is mostly inspirational, motivational stories. So I was looking at that, you know, option, and I shared some stories, and then I said, okay, I could repurpose these. I could use them they're not like a belly full of laughter, but they're lighthearted, right? So I said, I'm going to share lighthearted stories with something with a food for thought. And then I added to it, I could add a Jamaican proverb to it.
Of course.
And then tie that in with what's happening with the pandemic and how persons can prepare. So it was so much of a challenge, but it was so good, right?
Yes.
So I said on average, I took 3 hours to do a 3-minute story. It's like time just went away because between getting the story, preparing for it, you know, learning it, you know, adding that proverb and kind of tying things in, so you know it's valuable to people. So it was a skill that I learned, you know, as I went along, and with that now I can kind of do rapid storytelling because of that 14 days of like, oh my goodness, when am I gonna finish? So spoken word, share something with us.
Well, let's see now.
Pressure.
Well, tell you. Let's see now.
I see a comment. My sister says she can't ride.
Can't ride. Can't ride?
As the bicyclist.
Bicycle. Oh, okay.
I can. I just have had challenges with the bike and dogs, and we know.
Spoken word. You know, I call this, you know, my stage name is Mystic Gorilla.
Mystic Gorilla.
Yeah.
Where did that one come from?
Boy, that's another story. Let's not even get
I like stories, you know. You give me the short version. All right, go on the point first.
Yeah. So this one is called Mystic Psalm the 23rd.
Okay.
Because what I do is I'm actually rewritten the Psalms.
Okay.
Right? I know that sounds blasphemous to some, you know, but you don't know, I'm a controversial kind of guy sometimes. You know, what I find, you know, and I'm a man who has read the Bible, you know, book from Genesis to Revelation, you know, and I'm actually reading it again now. And one of the things that I've noticed about the scriptures, like in the Psalms, is that it tends to focus on the divine as being outside of us. But we are representations of the divine. So therefore, if you want to see something that is divine, just look in the mirror. Like I'm looking at something divine right now.
We're created in God's image.
Exactly.
So there is, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I find that the Psalms tend to take that divinity away from self.
Okay.
And I've sought to bring it back to self.
Okay.
So we know the 23rd Psalm, Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Right? So let me see if I can remember this one now. It says, Mystic Psalm, the 23rd. I am the shepherd of my life. I have laid in green pastures. I have walked on waters. My soul has never been restored as what is constant always exists intact. I know the path of my own righteousness for heaven's sake. Yea, though I walk through life with the rod that Moses passed through generations, death does not exist. My only enemy was fear, and the last we dined, BC, was the time. My cup was half full, and now it overflows and will continue for eternity. I am Lord of my sovereignty, forever and ever. And so it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely controversial, but shepherd of your life.
Well, you don't know. I mean, you know, life is about seeing things in different perspectives.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And this is what creativity is all about. It encourages, different thoughts and
and that's how we're made, right? We're made with different variety. That's how God made us for us to,
simple
grow,
Yeah.
challenge each other, things like that. That's for sure.
Like if we go to an art show, right? And you're looking at a painting in an art show or sculpture or whatever the artwork is, you could have 3 people standing up there, and each person has a completely different perspective, right?
Of the same
thing, right? So this whole thing about, when I listen to like interviews with artists and stuff like that, they will say, "Oh, what inspired you to do this? And what do you mean when you say this?" I'm like, I don't know what I mean. I mean, what do you think it means? You know what I'm saying? Creativity is in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah.
Right? So by expressing your creativity, there's no right and wrong way to do it. Just express.
Yeah.
The only thing that's wrong is not expressing.
Not expressing.
Yeah.
Not expressing, having that talent or that skill that you've got, for sure. All right, pretty good on that. So one of the things, we're talking about, people getting back to normal, which is why we're kind of wrapping this up. I don't want to beat the dead horse. I mean, it was here for a reason. As I said, the Let's Talk program was for persons to talk about the experiences they were having. We talked about challenges. We talked about financial supports that were there available to them. I mean, mostly for those who were in Edmonton or in Canada with the the bursaries that were running, the deferral payments that were there. Yeah. And something I just want to bring to light is that it was 3 months for the most things, it was 3 months. So April, May, June.
Yeah.
So for those who have taken advantage of those, just reminding you that it ends just about this month. So if you're not back to work yet or you're still having challenges, you ought to remember, to connect, whether it's with your bank, that you're talking to for mortgage deferrals that you were working on that, or for rent deferrals that you were doing, or for, let's see, even payments. They mentioned payments for your utilities and things like that, deferrals in that, car payments, whatever deferrals you had requested, or whatever supports you may have been getting. Just be mindful that it kind of runs out this month. So if you need to get additional time, you need to connect with your banks or with your financial institutions to ensure that you've got that, or utility persons there. So just reminder of that, wherever you're at. And people going out, it's exciting for me to be, like, I've been into the office a few days last week and the week before. It felt good going out, seeing people.
Of course. I mean, we are social beings, right? So.
And if you never realize it, and even for persons who are introverted, they call themselves introverted, you still miss people so much, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are okay just being by themselves. Yeah. Being by yourself, being alone, it's very different. So, if you don't find things to occupy your time, you still want that interaction with people, and that's something that's been very, very valuable.
Alone time and social time, both very important.
Yeah. Because in our alone time now, we've grown.
Right.
We've learned things, and now it's going back out and implementing that and
everybody.
sharing with others that are there. So for sure, that's good. And then even in the talk that we have, so hi Wilma, how are you doing? Hello and good evening. Wilma, I'm here with my friend Julian Romanetti, former classmate of mine. He's a clinical massage therapist, and we're just chatting here, experiences that he's had during the pandemic, things that we are doing going forward. So Wilma, one of the things we asked is, what are you going to do at the end of this pandemic? What are one of the things you're looking forward to doing? And what's one skill or that you've learned or enhanced because of this pandemic? So share with us, let us know what's happening there. I think my watch party got kicked off somewhere here. So I won't leave the watch party. I still have it for those who, if they can find me on. But yeah, share with us the experiences that you've been having, and let's just, talk about it as persons are going back in. For those who are online, have you gone back to work yet? Those who are at home, and what's happening now? It's gonna be summer for the kids, so I'm gonna ask you, Juliana. Your little one is probably not in school yet, but what are the plans for the summer with regards to? I know lots of the camps are closed or summer school is closed. What are you planning for the kids? What can you suggest? Others, what are you doing so others can learn? Other options they've got with the kids at this time.
Yeah, it just goes back to what we were saying, about creating systems. Just being in tune with your children, seeing. Determining what they're passionate about, and then creating systems around those passions. So if you have a child who's interested in bike riding, create a system around that. Go out for bike rides. If they can't ride, then designate some time every day for them to go on bike rides. There's one thing that this whole situation has brought up, right? Is that it's the importance of quality time with our family. Too many times parents deposit their kids to different things, like to whether deposit the kid off to a friend's house, or deposit the kid off to daycare, or deposit the kid off to day home, or to school, or whatever, right? Why? Bring those things home. Yeah. Bring those things home. How teach your kids. You can all. I don't believe in raising kids. I believe in training them.
All right.
Yeah.
Give me some more on that.
No, man, you have to train them because life is a jungle, right? There's a jungle out there, and you have to train them how to maneuver through the jungle.
Yeah.
Right? And you teach them skills, life skills. What do you think is important as an individual that you should know to go about life? Right? We don't need to wait on schools.
Yeah.
To teach our kids certain things. With my daughter, every night when she goes to bed, we read, but one of the books that she wants to read is an ABC book. She's not even 4 years old. She's going to be 4 this month, and this girl knows how to say all of her ABCs. Right? We do puzzles, but what do? Instead of buying a puzzle of a scenery, I buy a puzzle of numbers.
Yeah.
So now she can count all the way to 20. She knows her colors. She knows everything, and it's not like I'm at home with her, drilling her, do this, do that, do this, do that. No, we make it fun.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning, good morning. What day is it today? And then she starts to understand the days of the week, right? Just that ABC book, when it comes to the letter C, it's a picture of a clock. And I have a clock in her room, so she always looks up at the clock. Now all of a sudden she's asking me what time it is. So now I have to go teach her how to read a clock. So we don't have, these things are not difficult.
Yeah.
You understand? We just need to take the time and create the systems and spend that time with our kids.
As Julian mentioned that, talking about his interaction with his daughter, I got a comment here from Ralph Robinson. Hi, congrats. Hi, Ralph. How are you doing? How have you been during this pandemic? What's been different for you? What new skill have you learned or enhanced? And Patricia mentioned, I definitely now see the importance of relationships. I would welcome the opportunity to be able to see friends live and in person. That is so true.
Yeah,
it's so different. Because even if you're doing virtual, get to a point where I want to see you.
Yeah, man, the virtual thing.
I want to meet you.
Yeah, man, the virtual thing, just trust me. You can't do it too long.
It's like the telephone. Like, it's good to have a telephone conversation, but then talking to the person in person is so much different than a telephone conversation. It's the next best thing.
Yeah.
But talking about your daughter, and I just want to congratulate you on that too. And because this is going to be the final week for June, I'm just going to say happy Father's Day in advance, and to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
And the importance of spending time with your children. We talked about the mothers last month, but as fathers too, you've got a responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's not just having a child to say I've got a child, but being involved in the child's life.
Yeah.
So for all the fathers out there that are involved in their children's life, kudos to you, and a big thank you on behalf of the society, because of course the family decides everything is interconnected. So the values that you teach your children is gonna affect them, and how they go out in society. So in talking about that, I have the question to ask. As I said, it's gonna be this week is the final week in June for our viewers that's online. So what's the frequency do you suggest that we continue with Let's Talk? It'll be different topics, but I want to know what frequency are you thinking about? I've got my Sundays back after this week to do God knows what. But what's the frequency you're thinking about, and what are some of the topics that you want us to include in this Let's Talk? It won't be coronavirus, but different issues that we've got, or topical issues that we've got. We can just reason and just have that ability to bounce off ideas with people and things like that. I mean, until we see people in person.
Of course.
Yeah. And then for those online, we're also asking, what are you doing with your kids? It's summertime. Some persons are going back to work. What are you doing differently? Julian is mentioning having structured systems in place. So whether it's summer or it's during the regular school time, the option is there. I've also seen where many families are interested more in homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because now they've realized, they're able to take on a little more of that responsibility and help with homeschooling. So that's also something that persons are looking into. And you talk about the responsibility of training, children.
Yes.
And I think this pandemic has really brought out how much parents have depended on teachers.
Yes.
Because lots of the things now that the kids that they're learning is just like,
Big up to
my
the
kid is
teachers.
like that. I
Big up
never
to the
knew that.
teachers.
Yeah, so a
Yeah,
big
but-
shout out to the teachers that have, they've been everything.
Yeah.
They've been everything, because the kids are with them 8 hours for the day at least.
Yeah.
So they've seen their growth. They are the ones challenged sometimes with their behaviors at school and things
Yeah.
like that. So they've done an awesome job. And for parents, I hope even going forward they'll still appreciate the teachers after this with the time and effort that they've put into doing
teachers,
this.
Teachers are an integral part of any society. I come from a family of teachers, and it's a really noble career. Anybody who's a teacher out there, my hat's off to you, because I personally, I don't know if I could have done it, but yeah, we give thanks, because they're the parents away from home.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are helping to nurture our kids, right? And I know there are a lot of issues in the education system that needs to be addressed. I mean, the way education happens now is so much different from when we were going to school.
Yeah.
Nowadays, for example, they're allowing kids to progress into different classes, even if they have not met the intellectual requirement.
Yeah.
Which is a great disservice
Just kind of pushing them
to the
system.
child, and also a great disservice to the society in general. But these are the things that we have to be dealing with, and I know it's difficult for a lot of teachers out there who don't agree with some of these things, but hats off to you.
Yeah. It also comes to the responsibility that as parents you've got with the children, right? So if it's not happening from school, you need to ensure you're stepping up. I mean, for me going to school, my mom was like a teacher at school. She's
Of
there
course.
every PTA meeting. She's there.
Of
What
course.
homework you've got, things like that.
Of
So
course.
at least being more involved, in the child's learning is something that you want to know what's happening.
Listen,
when they go.
our role, I believe that one of our main role in life is to shape the next generation, right? So if we are going to be skipping away from the responsibilities of shaping that next generation, then it's pointless. I mean, if you're not going to be spending the time with your child every day to go over what they're doing in school, because you would rather, spend time on the phone talking to a friend or going to some party or something like that, that's...
Yeah, lost your purpose.
I don't want to say
That's your
anything more about
purpose.
that, because
You've lost your purpose.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Man.
We've got Yale online. Hey guys, how are you doing, Yale? Great job. Chip in with us. Let us know what's been happening for you. How has things been different, and how is it, going back into the real world as we know it? As Julian mentioned, that shout out to the teachers. We've also been talking about frontline workers and the important.
Trust me.
It's-
My sister's a nurse.
All right.
Big up, Tana. Big up. And big up all the nurses, boy, I tell you, rough. And the doctors. doctors and nurses have an interesting set of relationship,
yeah.
right there. It's like police and soldiers.
That's true. That's true.
But they're both very important, And big up to the police and those who are maintaining law and order out there, and all of those frontline workers. It's very important. We really have gotten a great appreciation
Yep.
for these positions. People who work in supermarkets, the truck drivers, all of these people.
And more than anything else, the cleaners.
The cleaners.
I think about the cleaners and how their job of of everybody else, they're cleaning, they're front and center of the likelihood of picking things up, and they've been really, they've worn that badge with honor.
Yeah, man.
They've worked tireless during this time, and we just want to say thank you and give a big shout out to them for the work that they've been doing. Because
I mean, I hope now that gone are the days when we look down at positions, right? Because at the end of the day, if we don't have the cleaners, if we don't have the people picking up the garbage, and the streets are gonna be
messy,
like beyond messy. It's gonna be.
If we're not cleaners ourselves, add it to. If we're not cleaners ourselves, and doing what we need to do.
Exactly.
It's ironic. You turn your face up at cleaners, but you're the one why there's a cleaner.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so a big shout out to those who have been, they're keeping us safe, saving lives, being on the front line, and even some, or postman that comes by and helps.
Oh, as for that, boy, I always say, what I would say to myself during this time, boy, if not go on. If not go on in my life, I got to tell a postman.
Yeah, work is there for the post.
Because they always have work.
Yeah. People I saw this, there's this guy doing a parody with, lots of the pandemic going on. He's talking about the postman being his best friend. He's looking forward and waiting to the postman every day because he's coming there.
Yeah, man. Big up to all the postmen,
Yeah,
and women out there.
Yeah, so things that we cannot take for granted, it's definitely there. You mentioned a big out, a shout out to the police and to the soldiers, and it's a topic I'm not gonna go into, but I cannot talk about what's happening or just glad over what's happening.
Yeah.
There's been protests all across the states and across the world because of what's been happening. Kind of, what's your take on that?
Well, rightfully so. It's important that people protest and everybody protests in their own way. The only thing I have to say about this whole thing is the rioters. The rioters are, discrediting, the good name of people of Mr. Floyd and others who have died. They're discrediting, right? The whole point of a protest is to effect change.
Yes.
Right? Now, if you have gone through the channels of protest and there's no change, then if you have to burn down a building then to make a point, then by all means. But you can't go there behaving in a way that is not warranted. You have to wait to see what's actually going to happen. Is justice going to be served?
Yes.
If justice is served, then everything is good. If justice is not served,
then you go to another level.
Then you have to go to another level. You understand that? But we have to approach things in life intelligently.
Yes.
We have to use our brain, right? Not our emotions.
Yeah.
We have to develop emotional intelligence, right? And understand when a reaction is warranted from when it is not warranted. You understand what I mean? And that's all I really have to say about the situation.
And it's important you mentioned that thinking through things as things happen.
And what happened was horrible. We're not discounting that.
Let's not.
We're not discounting that. I mean, those involved, I would hope that they get the maximum sentence that they can get, because it's important. But at the same time, we have to maintain law and order. If there's no law and order, then you can't have a society.
Yeah, that's true. Anarchy.
Yeah.
So I mean, as you said, protest for a cause. I remember I was sharing with my co-workers the other day that my first protest was
UTEC.
Yes.
You remember that?
So there was a gas strike. I remember we went down there. There was a gas tax, and persons that said, we're gonna have a protest, we're gonna have a march, and for me, I'm fresh from home or whatever, and I'm going to this march, and we all march with University of West Indies, University of Technology, and the nurses too, and we, you know, had our proposal that we wanted to march to the house with, and we.
Remember, I was in the student council at that time. Yeah, we did all of that. Yeah, it's important. You know, it's important to have the right to protest, but you have to do it intelligently.
Yeah.
Even that time when we were in university and we did that. Okay, yeah, we held hands and we marched down Hope Road. You understand that? But we were armed with a document.
Yes.
A position paper from the students of both universities indicating what our point of view was. And I remember that it was 5 of us who went into the Prime Minister's office. At the time, I don't remember who was Prime Minister, but I think it was PJ Patterson.
PJ,
but he couldn't meet with us, so we met with the Deputy Portia, who then became Prime Minister after, and she took our paper. You understand that? No, that is the way things need to be done.
You need paper and pencil. I mean, after your protest, then what? You want to make sure it's valued, right? So what I don't want is for it to be a 9-day wonder.
Yeah, man.
Everyone around the world is doing it. I know persons are at home. Let me just shout out to Kerry Scott. I'm spending more time with each child and really listening to what they want and what they want to talk about. My son likes to talk to me about what's going on with him and my job. So now my job has a title.
That's good.
And then hi Cher from World Talk. Hello, how are you doing, World Talk? And then Ralph says this is not the first time we protest. Violence may not be with the organizer of a peaceful protest, and that's true too. Because
very true.
So even the protest that we're talking about here, Jamaica, a few years ago.
Yeah.
I remember we were tear gas because I was telling them it was my first tear gas experience, because my aunt was saying
it's good for those who have sinus. For everything.
Yeah. My aunt was saying they went into the store, people broke in first to get milk because of the tear gas, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know, because then we went on someone's lawn in Mona to wash the eyes, and that made it worse.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned that, Ralph, with the protesters and the rioters, we had some folks who were from neighboring communities who had started rioting, right?
Yeah.
So while you had the students who were peacefully protesting, you had others who were, rioting, and that is what caused the police just like, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Because after we got tear gas, the message came from the Prime Minister's office saying, let them through. Let them come through. In fact, we were escorted the rest of the way by them, if you remember.
Yeah,
I remember that. As I say, you have to approach things intelligently. Look at any successful revolution that has happened in the world, right? It has always had a very good organization behind it.
Yes.
It has always, and the organization is important, because after all the shot them done fire and the ghost and the smoke has cleared, you have to have some type of system that is going to take over the system that you were protesting against, right? That requires intelligence.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who protest or who riot, and if you ask them, why are you doing this? Right? They can't really fully articulate
what it is,
and that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
And you mentioned, having part of it, having a protest, having a document as to what it is you want to see, but also having a leader. Some talked about with Martin Luther. One of the, that leadership skill is there that's necessary to kind of chart the way of what's gonna be next.
Yes.
Kind of looking for that from what's happening, and for persons who are protesting or talking about things that's happening now. You want to look to finding leadership, persons who are there who are leaders who will carry this cause all the way through.
Like I can tell you, what I hope to see from all of this is a restructuring of how police are trained. Right? There has to be a restructuring there. There obviously is something wrong with the way in which police contain persons. Restrain persons. That has to be looked at. You have to revamp that. Another thing that we have to look at as well. I kind of lost my trail of thought now. Anyway, I'll remember.
Well, I'm thinking about accountability too, right? You want to make sure that persons are accountable for the actions that they do. So as police officers, they're also accountable for, when they do. There's kind of brotherhood in the police, but they need to be accountable.
Oh, I remember what I was saying. Okay, so I was actually talking to a friend of mine in Toronto the other day, right? And one of the things that he was telling me was that he saw an advertisement in the newspaper for police recruits, right? They wanted police recruits, but they had indicated the cultural background that they want. Because you have a police force. The police force should be a representative of the society.
Yep.
So if in the society you have, this percentage of white, this percentage of people of African descent, this percentage people of Asian descent, and what have you, then you need to make sure that that is what is represented in the police force. So what I would love to see as well, apart from just a revamping of the training of the police, is also a revamping of the personnel or the cultural diversity within police forces.
Yeah.
Right? I know in Canada here, that is more or less done. Right?
Yeah.
We see a lot of diversity. Canada is a very, very good when it comes to diversity. Very, very civilized. Where that
Forward
is
with
concerned.
that, yeah.
Very forward thinking where that is concerned. But I'd love to see our neighbors down south do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that would help to change, effect a lot of change. Because I don't know if you've seen, there's so many videos coming out now about different people's experiences with police.
Police brutality, all races.
And it's the same thing that you see every single time. The police are on this power trip. That just because I'm wearing the badge, just because I'm carrying a gun, that people need to listen to everything that I have to say, and that's not really what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that I do see as well is that there is a predominance of one cultural group.
Yeah.
Within that force, and there needs to be more diversity. So these are some of the salient points that I hope are addressed out of all of this. Not just justice being seen, and the police officers being duly punished for what they did, but there should also be some kind of change.
Yeah, going forward for sure.
And those are two areas I think that would be a good place to start.
Kerry asked, "Do you see an intelligent leader in the U.S.?" I can't speak to that. Can
I would rather not comment on that. Yeah.
All right. So, so look at the responses.
And I would say that everybody is intelligent in their own right.
Okay.
But I want to veer away from politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the response that your prime minister gave. That was a leader's response, and I haven't heard it yet with Justin Trudeau, but I did see the feed come up with him pausing to respond to a question. But you touch a good point about being a leader in your own right, and even in our little, we don't recognize sometimes that we've got persons that look up to us. So kind of our responses to things too, is very important. And I think leaders naturally emerge.
Yeah.
People see them. People see they die for a cause. They'll put everything out for the cause, and they naturally emerge.
Listen, everybody is a leader in their own right. Right? A leader is not born.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that
you
can develop
the skill.
your leadership skills. Of course, a leader is born. Everybody is born.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that everybody has the ability to grow themselves into the leader that they want to be. Right? So, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
To say about that.
So yeah, you look at different, and even you talk about diversity in the police force. I also want to suggest too that for different races, also to encourage children to look at that option too as a police officers, because for some people they're like, police officers, no way, po, they're the worst things to say about policemen or policewomen. And like, to be fair, to be honest, we all know police officers. Personally, family, and you've got bad apples, but of course, it'll keep the reputation of the what do you call it now, of the police officers. We gotta encourage them, or we're gonna ask them to step up to it. But also let it be something, you go in there and you make a change, you make a difference, because you know what it is to be a good cop. And also shout out to the ones who are good cops.
Exactly.
Because we do have good cops and good soldiers, and sometimes we've got that.
I've met good ones and I've met bad ones. And I was a soldier in Jamaica, and and I, as I said, I've met good and bad.
Yep. So Kerry mentions racism happens everywhere, including Jamaica. That's true. That's why it's are treated better than blacks in systematic racism, and everybody have to bring changes within themselves, not just the police officers. And that's a good point too. Systemic racism. We have to address our own biases,
of course,
and our own prejudices,
which we all have.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And if we don't recognize that, then it's always easy to point you. But let's look at our own biases that we've got. There's some things I won't even mention.
You know, I'll tell you this, right? I went to a college that had 200 students from 100 different countries.
Diverse.
Very diverse. And one of the things that that I learned from all of that is that a lot of the stereotypes that we have, some are true, but most are not. But you're not gonna really know unless you actually interact
Yeah.
with people of different backgrounds. So that's why, you know, I like Canada's multicultural,
yeah.
diverse approach to things, because it gives us an understanding of different cultures and different people and how they think, what makes people tick from different countries. That's very, very important
Yeah.
to help break down a lot of the stereotypes and a lot of the biases that exist and what have you. Right? We are all human beings.
Yes.
Right? Some people have different shades of skin. Some people are a little bit more endowed than others. You know, some people, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, if you cut somebody open, it's the same blood.
Yeah.
Everybody have the same liver, the same heart, the same lungs, the same everything, right? So at the end of the day, you know, if we are always looking at people on the basis of race, then that just goes to show you how narrow-minded,
Yeah.
if I may say,
How shallow.
shallow
Yeah.
your perspective is. It's just what it is.
That's the truth about it, right?
It's just what it is.
'Cause
Right? You
it's-
can vex. Those of you who vex about that statement, I don't care, because that is the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. The more we embrace and love people, you know, and let love, like my religion is love. I don't deal with religion, but I don't have any issues with people who deal with religion. But if you ask me about my religion, it is love. Because at the end of the day, you have to spread
Learn to love. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. What Bob said, until the color of the man's skin?
Yeah. Selassie said that still.
Bob sings it.
Yeah. But it's a serious thing, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we have to live with each other,
Yeah.
you know? And if you want to be the kind of person that just wants to chant fire for this group and chant fire for that group and chant fire there and everywhere, it's not going to get you anywhere. Go live in a cave where you can have a perpetual fire burning.
Yes, for sure.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna live in
Amongst
society,
people.
if you're gonna live amongst people, then you know it requires you to always look within yourself and always grow and always become better.
Yeah. And remove all the isms, you know, the classism, racism, the prejudices that's there. You know, as a good point that Wilma made, we have to take a deep look at, you know, what we're doing.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like environmentalists. Okay? Again, not knocking any group. But how many environmentalists do you know who have a recycling bin at their home? How many environmentalists, people who say they are environmentalists and go out there and protest every day about environmental issues? How many of them, if you look at their lifestyle, does their lifestyle represent that
What
which
they
they
talk
are
about.
protesting about?
That's a good point. So
So-
they still private jets, or they still drive the
You understand? You understand?
not energy
Whatever,
efficient,
right?
or they, yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to look within yourself. Or do you represent that which you are exposing out there into society? Do you represent that? If you don't, I'm here to say that almost everybody will not 100% represent
What they're talking about.
what they talk about. It's a constant journey, but it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah, it's a process to get
It's a
there.
constant thing,
Enjoy
right?
the journey.
Yeah,
Enjoy
man.
the journey.
It's a constant thing.
We're just about wrapping up. Let me see. Wilma, we mentioned that with Wilma. Patricia mentioned there should be affirmative efforts made to eradicate various stereotypes. Yeah, that we have come to believe about law enforcement within the multicultural community,
Yeah.
focusing on education and building. And a very good part of it is, you know, education and awareness is what people need to kind of break down those stereotypes that we've got, right?
Yeah, man.
So be knowledgeable that we can talk about it. So building those relationships. And then Wilma says, yes, we are all one race, and that's the human race. And
Yeah,
that's a
man.
good one to
For real.
let's wrap up on. So Julian,
Blessings and love.
thank you so much.
And so a social distancing, but we're
By
not
distance?
assisted for
We
life.
got hand sanitizers here.
Yeah, we got it. So don't worry.
So thank you for those, you know, who have watched, who've made it the program the success it has been, for, you know, calling in, for sharing your experiences, you know, asking questions. And, you know, for those who've come on, we've got, you know, Miriam came on talking about businesses. Merlin came in talking about children and, you know, listening to your kids. And Jasmine just last week talking about wills and estate planning. You know, be sure to go back and watch the other episodes if you haven't seen them before, just to see, you know, different things that you can learn and to share with others. And I still don't have a date for you yet, but we're going to say in July we'll come back on, and with the topic too, we'll let you know in advance. Keep safe, and if more than anything else, you know, let this experience be something that, you know, you can take the positive from.
Yeah.
Something you can learn, you know, learn more about yourself, learn more about your family. And I'm going to encourage us to look for the silver lining. You know, people have been talking about it, but let's really make the best of this experience that we've been having. You know, make good memories. I talk about living through Hurricane Gilbert, and it was rough, but the memories that you've got, those memories that you've got, no one can take that from you.
Wild Gilbert, remember that song?
Yes. So this pandemic experience, like the memories that you get for generations to come, should life last, you'll be telling friends and families about it.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, make the best of it and let it not be that you went through this in vain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, final shout out. So Jean Christie says, I have enjoyed your program over the past week. Thanks, Jean. I know you're watching all the way from Toronto. And Donna says, great program. We'll miss it. And Erica says, I've learned a lot from this program. Keep safe all. And Wilma will definitely miss this program. Very interested. So look out for it. As I said, it's a new skill that I never even thought of. But, you know, who knows what emerges from a pandemic.
Yeah, man.
Julian, again, great having you.
Yeah.
Final words?
Love.
Until next time, all the best to everyone.